Hi, this is Nilangan. I'm the head of marketing at Salespanel, and for this episode of the Salespanel podcast, we have Sergio Van Luijk. Sergio is a corporate strategist and equity finance expert, drawing on a career that includes high-level experience in private equity, operational leadership, and corporate finance. Sergio leads Brussels-based Cap Expand Partners as its managing partner. So Cap Expand is also a long-standing customer of Salespanel, and we are happy to have Sergio on the show. So, what do you, Sergio? Please tell us a little bit more about yourself and your role at Cap Expand Partners.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you, Neil, again for having me on the show and having me here today to speak also with your listeners. Really appreciate it. So yeah, no, absolutely. I've been a customer of Salespanel already for quite some time, and have been in touch with Paras, who's helped me a number of times with tweaking and helping my processes. A little bit about myself and about Cap Expand. I took over the family business 2 years ago, and essentially a family office with the mandate to manage the different portfolio of different asset classes, whilst at the same time helping business owners in the lower middle market to realize their business plan objectives. And very often, one of the most common bottlenecks there is financing. So that's where we use our family office network and leverage that and try to really financially engineer and structure deals and transactions, which could be the buying out of another partner, or which could be internationalization or other forms of growth expansion as part of a general M&A transaction, but also on an ongoing basis. So that's really the core of what CapExpand is, and we do that with a team of 5 based in Belgium, where we cover the Benelux market and also countries outside of the Benelux, typically with some sort of a link with the Benelux, but not always.
So, have things changed a little bit after the pandemic, or how you operate, or how your partners react to things?
I think that's a great question. The first answer there is we were born in the pandemic. So the family office as such has a legacy that dates back to the 1970s. At the same time, it's quite dualistic. We're also a startup, right? That started 2 years ago. So and we started when the pandemic broke out. So we had to automatically already from the outset adjust and adapt to the circumstances, and that means making sure that we have the remote work capabilities in-house. That means having our lean processes in place, recorded and in different forms and manners, but also having the right tech stack really to be able to operate in a streamlined manner. So in that sense, based on my previous experience, we operate a little bit differently from many of our competitors, based on what I mentioned before. And in all honesty, since we started in the pandemic, I don't have a real reference point as to how things would have changed had we started prior to the pandemic.
Great. So I had some questions regarding how you operate, but we'll get to that soon. So before that, I wanted to ask you how you are helping business development at Cap Expand Partners. Like, how do you find the right kind of businesses to work with?
So, as the founder of Cap Expand in its current form, I'm the person who drives business development at our firm. So it starts off with, okay, who's our ideal customer profile, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a startup. I love working with startups. However, our focus is really on mid-market, lower mid-market, and high mid-market companies. Size brackets between 5 million US dollars, euros, let's just assume parity there, to up to 500 million.
Mm-hmm.
And so, understanding the needs of the customers, I think, is essential. This depends per vertical and industry in which they operate. Obviously, our team has experience in different industries that obviously and certain credentials that helps with new products or new projects. Sorry. So that's what we try to leverage as much as possible. But at the end of the day, we are very much reliant on on referrals. We work with referrers who have a lukewarm or a warm relationship, which basically helps us to get a foot in the door in a quicker way, rather than trying to spam the whole world in some form or another. And so it's really a matter of relationships building and ensuring that that we do our business and conduct business in a proper manner, so that and deliver quality service that they come back to us.
Yeah, great. So, for you, how important is your website for lead generation, or like for your like partners and affiliates, referrers? Do they come through your website?
It's mixed, and
Okay.
I'll tell you why. We're in the B2B segment, right?
Right.
We help other businesses, as I mentioned before. Typically, the accountant is their trusted partner. It could be a lawyer, it could be someone else in their in their immediate environment. We are typically one step further. We're talking about the customer journey, so to speak.
Mhm.
And when someone is on Google and requires capital raising services
Mhm.
or some sort of solutions where we would indeed be able to help, chances are that they're probably looking at 5 or 10 other websites at the same time
Right.
in order to compare.
Yeah.
Uh, that doesn't mean to say that it's not important,
Mhm.
because even the referrals that we get, the first thing they do is they go to our website. And I think it's, there's a lot of studies out there that basically say that half of the referrals will basically decide whether or not to proceed with you as a firm, as a service firm in our specialty, in our domain of expertise, depending on what how the website looks like. So in that sense, indirectly, it's extremely important. Directly, probably not.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like everything is kind of correlated. Yes. Okay, so coming back to what we were talking about, so you have a team of 5 people, right?
A core team of 5, I should
Yeah,
say.
yeah, core team of 5 people. So you use a strategy where you operate with a very small in-house team instead of relying on partners. So can you tell us more about this and also share tips on how other businesses can operate in a similar manner?
Yeah, so I mean that's an interesting one because based on my 20 years of corporate finance experience, what I've noticed is that every project is unique. Why is every project unique? Because every market in which a company or prospect client operates is different,
Yeah.
right? Sure, you can focus on certain niches, which is what we do, typically tech enabled, but still a client in the US versus a client in Belgium or the Netherlands or in India will have different requirements compared to when you compare them to each other.
Yeah.
So we are very much an advocate of keeping that in mind and the best interest of our client in mind and assembling a team of the right experts, so to speak, as
Mhm.
part of our deal team on a deal by deal basis to ensure that at the end of the day, the quality of the service that we offer them is optimized. So that's really what we do in terms of how we staff projects, and therefore we don't believe in a one size fits all. We
Yeah.
really try to do this on a case by case basis, and obviously, what we notice is that technology is an important factor and component as well, which I think is one of the reasons why I got in touch with Salespanel a while ago.
Okay, so talking about technology and your tech stack, so are you leveraging any new or emerging technologies?
Absolutely, and we're using technology and automation and ways in order to operate more efficiently because we have and operate in a lean. I'm not going to say mean, but in a lean manner.
Yeah.
And I think and a lot has changed compared to a couple of years ago. And one of the key things I think is back 10, 20 years ago, where you would have to step into in your car and drive to a prospect
Yeah.
or to an investor, see them eye to eye. A lot of that work, I'm not saying it completely replaces it,
Yeah.
but a lot of that can now be done much more efficiently through virtual coffees, meetings, to see if there is an overlap or a potential for collaboration before stepping into the
Mm.
car. So some sort of efficiency has taken. There's been this acceleration towards tech-enabled efficiency, and which I think, as a kind of a general overarching shift, I think is important. And as a result of that, and probably in the slipstream of that, when we're talking about a powerful software like Salespanel, what I think really helps there is that, okay, not only do you not have to step in the car and speak to 20 people face to face to understand whether out of those 20, maybe 5 are interested.
Mm.
Once you've had the call, even afterwards, of those 5 or 10, whatever, who's interested in your service and who's showing most interaction,
Yeah.
and that's, I think, helps to save time and resources, and focusing on the right people, be it customers
Mm.
or prospects, be it in our ecosystem investors as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think like since you have a very small core team and also like, you operate with partners and you every deal is probably a lot worth a lot of money to you, being critical about resources and how you spend time on clients is very important, right?
Absolutely. So I think quality is key. Everything that gets delivered at the end of the day, and in terms of product deliverables, that goes past us. So that has to be safeguarded. Typically these are people who we've worked with in the past, so we have a pool of talent with that we can draw on. So absolutely, we need to combine technology and human capital in the best interest of our clients before and after signing an engagement. So
Yeah,
also
and
during the execution of the project.
yeah, and also you have a bigger reach, right? You operate across the Europe, right?
Across Europe, we're also working on transactions as I mentioned before, in the US, in India as well. We're part of an international network of family offices and intermediaries across the globe, and we speak on a weekly basis. So yeah, at the end of the day, we want to know which partners or which prospects clients make the most sense to follow up on, right? And that's part of the efficiency and possibilities that probably did not exist 20 years ago.
Yeah. And since you mentioned qualifying leads before you talk to them, so how do you use sales funnel for this purpose?
Good question. That's obviously the segmenting part of
Okay.
what Salespanel offers, and comes back to my earlier point as well in terms of what's your ideal customer profile, right? That's where it starts. And can you define that avatar, so to speak, in terms of the size, in terms of the activity, geography, etc. So to answer your question there, right off the bat, it's understanding who those ideal customers are. Salespanel offers the opportunity to define those segments, and in that sense, you get alerted when and get a note and even integrate this information into your customer relationship management system in order to understand, okay, these are the leads or investors that are basically the most interesting to follow up on.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah, I think their behavior also plays an important role, right? Like what they do, and like customer profile is of course important, but like how interested they are and how much intent they have, you can find out from their behavior.
Sure. So it's a starting point, right? Because
Yeah,
I mean, you can have a lot of interested people
yeah,
and opening and clicking on your site and etc. But so it starts with defining that. Then obviously, you need to, once they match those criteria and they are indeed qualified,
okay.
how often are they looking at what you're sending over to them in terms of an investment teaser? Uh, or how eager are they? What are they looking at on your website? What are the areas that interest them? These are all signs. If I have a meeting, an online meeting with someone who fills in, for example, a form online for an exploratory call.
Yeah.
I mean, it's useful information to know what aspects interest them, so I can focus and direct the conversation and guide it in that direction, so to speak. So yeah, depending on whether or not they fit under the ideal customer profile, of course. That's step one, and step two is indeed the power of Salespanel to be able to do this.
Okay, that's great. So, one more self-indulging question. So, what is your favorite thing about Salesforce?
I would say for us, for our industry specifically, yeah, so I talked about the prioritization.
Yeah.
From the top 10, who's the top 20, top two or three that we should really be focusing on in terms of lead scoring.
Yeah.
As a second point, I would probably say that this in our business not only applies to prospects and clients, but also applies to projects, because again, in our ecosystems, we deal with businesses, connecting them with the investors, and we want to know when there's an outreach campaign approved by client, and we approach various investors, which investors should we really be focusing on in our capital raise transaction process, right?
Yeah.
Have certain investors even bothered to look at whatever you sent to them? So it's this type of information that gives you a tactical advantage,
Yeah.
which we try to use as much as possible in our process.
Yeah. So that's good to know. And we also want some critical opinion from you. So if you have to expand Salespanel, probably add some new features or expand the service, or what use cases would you like to see happening through us? Probably something that is immediately useful for your business.
Sure. I mean, I believe in having a niche focus, but there's always room for an opportunity to expand into new markets or into new adjacent areas. And I think we started off by really trying to understand how our customer journey works, right? So what for us would be extremely important is if we can report this and really based on the sales funnel that we have, see, okay, what content is important at what stage of the sales funnel, and for that to be able to take place,
Yeah.
we really need to understand at what point and what sources and to what extent this information can be analyzed, so that we understand, okay, where should we be placing our content marketing efforts from?
Yeah.
Not just the lower end of the funnel, but also more top end of the funnel.
Okay. Yeah, so we are working on the reporting system. We already have a B2B reporting system in place that is like a much more simpler version of Google Analytics in terms of B2B businesses. So like, for example, if you wanted to know if a particular blog post from your blog is directly converting into sales, you can find that out, or you can see the whole customer journey. You can analyze the customer journeys of different people and see what they have in common, or if there's an advertising system going on, like you can know which keywords are bringing the most qualified leads and things like that.
So
And
this is key information.
yeah,
and also in terms of content, we're in the thought leadership in the knowledge sector, so to speak. So it's all about know-how emanating, thought leadership, building authority, and this kind of information is in that sense is extremely valuable. So if we know exactly how to for example, what blog posts are more read than others, I mean, we can build upon that and adjust our strategy along the way, as far as content marketing is concerned. So looking forward to being a guinea pig in that sense, as far as the new release is concerned.
Yeah, we will I will tell Paras about this, and he will keep you updated and get you on the latest stuff as soon as possible. Yeah. And so how about our services, like how would you rate our support and like onboarding and everything else? Like how was your experience?
In a couple of words, personal, support from A to Z, and caring. So, I mean, Paras actually got on the phone or on the Zoom call to really help me. I'm not a technical person, but he and his support team really made an effort to sit down on a number of occasions to really see how can we tailor the features that this software package has in the best interest of our client, and that's really what he and his team did. So, hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's good to hear. So we are almost ready to wrap. So before that, if you had anything to share with our viewers, now is the time.
Look, if your viewers have ambitions to expand either through acquisitions or strategic alliances into Europe, specifically into the Benelux, and which post Brexit is typically a first port of call. Happy to discuss, and if you go to our website at www.cap-expand.com, schedule an exploratory call and see if we're a fit, and see how whether we could be a resource.
Mm. Yes, a lot of our viewers and also customers are startups, and especially B2B businesses. So I think that's you can help some of them out.
Absolutely. So, again, ticket sizes where we focus on is from 5 million to 300 million. So if that fits
Yeah.
in terms of size bracket, we're already, I think, one step ahead.
Yeah, I think okay. So I guess that's our cue for wrap. And it was lovely having you on the show. And thank you for being a customer as well. So it was
Absolutely.
wonderful
Thank you for
talking to
having me
you.
on the show.
And I hope you enjoy the holidays.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So, okay.